So, today we will be discussing Immanuel Kant's moral philosophy. This is the second video on Kantian moral philosophy. Today we basically will be focusing on the notion of maxim that Kant has introduced in his book, The Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals. It is also known as the fundamental principle of metaphysics of morals. So, the notion of maxim is one of the pertinent ideas of Immanuel Kant's moral philosophy. So, what is maxim? Maxim is subjective principle of volition. So, in order to understand the idea of maxim, first we need to understand the distinction between human action and action of other beings, other creatures, or other inanimate objects. Kant has distinguished human behavior from other actions of other animals or inanimate things. Human being, a human being acts in accordance with his idea of law. What does it mean? Human being acts in accordance with his principle. That means he has the latitude to make law and obey that law. So, a human being can legislate, and at the same time it can legislate for self regulation. So, the core of ethical philosophy is legislation, self-legislation for self-regulation. This is what the maxim is all about. And what does it mean when I say that, when Kant says that subjective principle of volition? A person, an individual, when he is out of his volition or free exercise, freedom to make choice, when he exercises freedom of will to make choice, to make a principle and chooses to act on that principle, this is what is called the subjective principle of volition. So now everything else in nature acts in accordance with the law of nature. Everything else in nature acts in accordance with the law of nature. For example, all the objects are governed by the law of gravity, and other laws of natures govern all sorts of objects, including human mind and body. If you see that human mind and human body, what is basically mind? Mind is nothing but the brain. Okay, so human mind and human body, they are also subject to the law of nature. Law of nature govern human mind and body. Then, but it is only action where we can act on the base of our freedom, our choice. There is a room to make choice, and we can choose to act on the principle that we make for ourselves. This is why it is called subjective. And subjective in the sense that it is applicable to ourselves. So we can make law and we can obey that law, and that law, we can make law. This implies that we have a faculty called volition, and out of that faculty we have the freedom to make law and to act on that law. And an individual can do this, and this law is applicable only to that individual person. And whereas everything else in nature, including human mind and body, are governed by laws of nature. So everything else is under the sway of laws of nature except human action. So human action has that latitude to human being can act on his principle. So this is what is about maxim. Now, in order to make clear the notion of maxim, he is distinguishing it from motive. So we generally conceive maxim as motive, but it is different from motive. Maxim is different from motive as well, because motive is like the immediate cause of action. Okay, and when motive is being generalized, then it is called maxim. When the motive of my action is generalized, then it is called maxim. For example, the motive of my cooking may be hunger, so this is the immediate cause of my action, that is called motive. But when I'm generalizing my motive and I will be applying that generalized principle in all the similar circumstances, this will be called maxim. For example, animals, they are not self-aware. Okay, they act on their impulses, their instincts. So their motive is their basic instincts, like nature's intelligence, what is basically called the law of nature. They when they feel hungry, they hunt. When they feel sleepy, they sleep. We human being, our body, our mind also act in accordance with the law of nature. But exception is that we are able to generalize our maxim. For example, if I am doing hard work for doing well in my exam, my motive is that, my maxim is that, if I am to do well in exam, then I am to do hard work for my exams. So under all similar circumstances, I will be applying this maxim. I will be acting on this maxim. So the real ground of my action is the maxim. The principle which is at work is the maxim. So this is what is all about maxim, which generalizes my action and my motive.